Good afternoon, it's Maria, and it's 4:38 p.m. I am not on here to complain about people who've mistreated me and abused me for years, okay? But I have noticed that when I get online, I'm being bombarded with story clips of people talking about their unhappiness with their work issues and I said this before. I do believe that we live in hell. But when it comes to work issues, it seems as though, just like the world issues, I cannot solve everybody's problems. So everybody has to be responsible for their own happiness. I personally think that. That's my personal feeling, and I have the right to have it. But yeah, I do. I think, life really is a very a happy situation. I mean, we deal with all kinds of different personalities in our neighborhoods, um, in our workplaces, even within some people's families. Okay, so people have different personalities, and you got to have the right combination in order to fit to be to cooperate. But it seems as though there's a lot of, what do you call it, mixed matches. Mixed matches. What I mean by that is, like in my previous experiences, and maybe this could be everyone else's. I don't know if everybody else is trafficked, but I'm trying to figure out what is it. Why is it so hard to be? Why is everybody so miserable? I understand that. In my case, the bulk of my misery came from the outside intrusion, like the mobbings, the being put on the spot, being bullied at work. That's my biggest issue. But when it comes to everyone else, I keep thinking, now let's just take the bullying out of the equation. Like, what else did I not like about some of the jobs that I worked? And this might be their problem. It could very well be that they're working in jobs where the industry does not appeal to them. Okay. And like I just got a call from a uniform company, right? Of course, I don't want to work for a uniform company, a linen company or something like that. That does not make me feel as though that's something I want to do for the long term. Why? Because ideally, I don't care about uniforms, linens, stuff like that. And then also, like this one place that I went to that was wearing uniforms, which I am obviously have an aversion to because I've dealt with targeting and triggers. This particular place was based like did like airplanes, aviation, whatever. Okay, there is nothing in my personality that matches those sort of things. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when I think of industries, when you think of certain people with industry matches, you'd want to be able to find jobs that match that person's personality to the best of your ability. And so, I would prefer to not be jumping around every 2 years. Okay, that would be my personal preference. Unfortunately, things don't always work out that way. Okay, but was just thinking that, and then I got this phone call, and I kept thinking because I don't recall applying for the job myself. But anyway, um, the thing is that I don't. I think a lot of the unhappiness is that there's a lot of mixed matches, and the more that you find that you're cutting into your personal, you're making compromises, the more compromises you make, the more miserable you become. Okay, so you work in a job that you don't like the industry. So right there, all the assignments that are getting handed to you, it's like you're brain dead. You honestly don't feel like you want to participate in company functions and talk about the goals and the drive of the company because guess what? That sort of industry bores you. You would not have on your own time paid any attention to anything that relates to that. That's the truth. That's why when I wanted to move to Los Angeles, I kept thinking, okay, what are my hobbies? I'd like to. Now I understand we can't always have what we want. I fully get that. I fully get that. But there's just layers upon layers of added misery when it comes to people's work life. And I'm trying to, I relate to their suffering because I have suffered for many years in the workplace. Not just the bullying, it's the fact that, well, I would say the bullying, really. Because most of the time, like when I worked at the news station, I liked that. I didn't particularly like working for Karen. I didn't particularly, but the screen printing industry wasn't bad. I just didn't like, the attitude that was going on. I hate the targeting. I hate the mobbings. Okay, I could have handled it. Was it my favorite industry? No, but it was something I could deal with. I think if people, there's a lot of mismatched people doing jobs that they really shouldn't be in, is what I think. You know, um, I know I don't like gas and oil, so I don't want anything in gas and oil. I don't like anything medical related, so I don't want anything medical related. You know what I mean? I don't like those industries. You know what I mean? I knew when I was working at Edwards Air Force Base. Now I wasn't working like directly in the military type work, but I knew going down to that being on the military base was kind of depressing. Why? Because I like vibrancy. I like to be in a stimulating environment, and seeing all those camouflage, brownish, greenish type tones all the time, it could start weighing people down. You know what I mean? So I think people should have a clear idea of what kind of stuff or industry they want to be in when they work. That might be a big difference, okay? Because like I said, if you're a girl and somebody gets you a job in an auto repair store or something like that, if that's right there, you don't want to be there. Think about the hours you got to put in, and then they're going to sit there and ask you to work overtime. It just becomes overly taxing on a person. That makes a difference. Okay, I think some people think you can just give a person a job. A job is a job. And some people do come from that mentality. They really do. But when you think about the science of what makes a person happy at their job, there's certain things you need to take into consideration. And I understand, that sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. Okay, but when you're looking for somebody who's trying to find something for the long haul, something for long term, something that, something that they're gonna want to stick around, then it really should be something along the lines of something that they would be interested in, or they would have they believe in, or they have an interest in, or whatever, like art galleries. I thought maybe working for a cosmetic company would be cool. I thought maybe working for fashion. Now, of course, I have no interest in moving to Los Angeles now. Okay, but 10 years ago, I certainly did. So I kept thinking, okay, what is it that I like, and what is it that I would prefer to do? Like, it would be kind of cool to work for, like, for example, a fashion company, right? Why? Because you're going to get into the events that they're into. You care about the future of the company and the sort of things that they're interested in promoting. You know what I mean? It's like you really feel like you can get into that, or you can at least support it. So yeah, those things, they matter. And like I said, I think there's a mismatch there. Also, we already talked about the politics that go on in a workplace, right? The bullying, the childish behavior of people, and the poor management. I blame it all on management. It's the management's fault. If that stuff is going on in the company, it's the management's fault. It's definitely their fault. No doubt about it. I did see a video about a lady who is a targeted individual. Can't think of her name, but she's a targeted individual, and she goes around and she talks to other people about being a targeted individual, but not so much of a targeted individual. She talks to employers about workplace mobbing. Now, I thought about this myself. I did. I thought about this myself to educate people on workplace mobbing and bullying. Okay, and she was really surprised because somebody walked up to her and said, "You know what? Could you explain this to me, because I want to make sure this never happens in my company." That's impressive. You know why? Because if you can try to figure out how to calm and quell down, the eruptions of people's behavior in a workplace, that's good. And if somebody actually takes this issue seriously and they want to know, what is the science that they can look for to make sure that this doesn't happen. Like I mentioned yesterday in my video about, when people make these sort of complaints. Okay, somebody's talking to me about my hair. I gave an example of the girl who's being made fun of because her eyes are slanted or whatever. These are the sort of things that should be like nipped in the bud already. If somebody's saying, hey, somebody's poking on me, they need to figure out why they're getting poked on so they can squash it. But unfortunately, management, a lot of times, in this case, in my situation, management was promoting the bullying. Okay, and when managers endorse that, they're basically endorsing that. Then they encourage people who are underneath them to do it too. You know what I mean? So people's work lives are not happy. They are miserable. you know. And I will say mine was miserable for a long, long time. I really didn't like my years of 2008 through 2009 were nightmares for me. And it affected my weekend. And I will tell you, these are signs that I hate my job and I want to escape and I just wish I were dead because I have to go do it. On the weekends, I would just feel like I wanted to die. I would stay in bed all day long. You know what I mean? And not so much all day long, but I would get out and I would go to like, uh, my grocery shopping and whatever and come home and then just feel sorry for myself. And then I would feel obsessed with time, like, I wanted to make sure that I could spend as much time as I could doing something that I wanted to do or find some sort of enjoyment because I felt like I wanted to avoid the dread that I was going to have to deal with um, on Monday morning. And it was always dark and dreary on Monday morning. Always, always dark. And then when I started working at the farmer's place, it was great, at first. And then it started getting dark, and all this other stuff. Um, I understand that we can't always do things that make us happy. Sometimes we get stuck with what we get stuck with. You know what I mean? That's totally possible. But I also understand that I don't like being in environments where I can't be gung ho. I don't really care about the product. And yes, it does matter. It does matter. I see a lot of women, and just not just women, but men too. Like I'll go to a store and they're behind the counter, they're waiting on me, and they just have this dead look on their face, just utterly just dead. They don't care. And there's so many people right now who are expressing how much they don't care about their jobs. They don't care about it. And that's sad because the most unfortunate part about the job that they hate is that they need that job in order to live. Doesn't that suck? That sucks. That's like, it's a nightmare. And it is, and I'm aware of that. You know what I mean? So I try in my own way to try to make my day a little bit better. You know what I mean? So there's certain things that you can do to combat the negative energy that goes on in your workplace, okay? Like, I prefer to have happy and upbeat office supplies. It's small. It's a very small thing. I mean, hey, I'm going to have me a cute little pink notebook so I can keep my notes. And I want a pen that matches too. Because life is hell and I might as well enjoy something. Something. Help me like my day somehow. You see. Anyway, I don't know. It's interesting when I hear people complaining about their unhappiness or their discontentment in their job, but this is what I keep thinking about. What is it? What is it that they really want to do? Could they direct their attention to what they really want and their focus? Could they be selecting something that they really want? Are they just completely mismatched altogether? Is it their office environment? Is it the fact that they hate the industry and the office environment? It can be so many different things, you know? But whatever the case is, they need to find some way to make it tolerable because we are living in hell. I was just noticing that there was another article that popped up. It's about this girl. She goes by the name of Tay, and she just did something on TikTok. Now, I'm not a big TikTok follower or anything, but she was basically saying that she actually shows her. I don't know if she's really crying or she's just faking it or whatever, but she was complaining that women, she feels as though women should not have complaint to be like equal to men and have jobs like, men and be in the workforce. She would prefer to have things back, how things used to be many, many years ago where the woman stayed home and the man made the money. Now, I didn't read this, I watched her TikTok video. I'm just looking at a small snippet of it. And I'm summarizing it, and I have not seen this video myself, so I could be saying something that might be incorrect. But this is the summary of what her video was about and how this person wrote it. And basically, this is why my opinion on her statement is that I personally think that you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like, I've heard stories of people, and I'm talking about white people, okay, because this girl's a white girl. So you might think, okay, well, a long time ago, people's lives were different. Yes, they were. But when you think about the family dynamic, husband, wife, The responsibility, the roles of each woman or whatever was basically the same. The woman was basically in the house. I don't care who you were. In the United States, that was pretty much it. But what people don't think is, I think what people are doing, what she's trying to say, or a lot of other people are trying to say, is that how could you avoid this misery? And I have thought that those thoughts myself. Like, what if people just went back to the old days and that was just the way it was? Well, there was a lot of men who felt a lot of stress about having to be the main breadwinner, and they would take their anger and frustration out on their wives. Okay, and that was actually written into advertising. You see advertisements about men spanking their wives and stuff like that. That's not a joke. And I'm sure people didn't just hit their wives on their ass either. They probably used their fist to hit her in the face a couple of times. Because there's talk about people getting beaten too. You know what I mean? No matter how you slice it, we suffer on this earth. Okay, we suffer as much. I mean, more than we can possibly imagine. So whether you're going to be a housewife or you're living on, you have to be forced to work or whatever, we have to figure out ways to try to minimize the pain and the suffering that we're dealing with, as much as you can. So for me, it might be that pink notebook. I don't know what this girl is. I mean, she obviously does a lot of TikTok videos, and I make videos too because I feel like it's a very therapeutic thing to do. But it just seems like, we have to take the responsibility to minimize our suffering as much as we can, because I'm going to tell you what, I've suffered. Now, I know obviously this girl's talking about her suffering. There's a bunch of people talking about their suffering. Now, I think my suffering is a little different because my suffering was life-threatening. Okay, but still, there's a lot of unhappiness that goes on the earth. So we have to take it upon ourselves to find what makes us happy. You know what I mean? And like I said, there's some times where people, once you get off from work, you want to go home and do your job. I want to go to work, do my job, whatever, whether I'm working at my home or whatever, but I'm going to keep work life and home life separate. Those things have to be separate. And what I resent from this gang stalking issue is how they try to merge the two. They do not. Because people have to have sanctuary. You know what I mean? I do not want to have anything, I don't want my work merging with my home life. Meaning, after work is over, that's it. Now, let's just say, for example, I'm not dating, I'm not married, okay? But if I was, I don't want them involved in my work life. Because work is hectic. Work causes pain. Work is frustration, and I need a place to escape from it. And I personally think that this should be the case with a lot of people. People should keep these things separate if they can. Now, some people, they don't have to deal with the nightmare dynamic that I have to, okay? And for them, hey, good for them, right? But this is my situation. And because of that, I have to, I would prefer to keep that separate. And I would not want to be in a relationship with somebody who, plays I'm talking behind your back and I'm plotting behind your back, and I would not want that. Unfortunately, work life, it can be very destructive and very abusive. And I'm telling the truth. I'm just telling the truth. And so, I would prefer to keep those things separate. And I'm so sorry that they ever got jumbled up. Anyway, I'm going to get off this video right now. I will probably make some videos throughout the day. I feel like there's a lot going on in my mind right now because I'm a little unhappy with, I'm glad that I'm filing the restraining orders, but I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want to have to deal with this issue because it bothers me. I want to forget it and have it go away as much as I possibly can. I want to heal. Healing is so important to me right now, and my depression is just like something I can't even describe. Like this afternoon, it really hit me. It really hit me how depressed I was. Because it was like, I feel like, what's left of my life? These people have taken so much and I will never get anything back for it. What could my life have been had I met the right people? Had I had the chance to spread my wings and do what I wanted to do? You know what I mean? So that goes through my mind all the time. So I don't tell you though, I don't want to continue my life over and over again for many, many, many more years because quite frankly, I'm tired of dealing with this shit. I'm like really fucking tired of it. It's just been a fucking nightmare. It's been a drain. And I understand and completely relate to a lot of these people. There really is no solution for it. You know what I mean? But you can minimize it, and I suggest people minimize the suffering as much as they possibly can by taking their lives into their own hands and doing these little things and pursuing their own form of happiness, whatever that is. But you definitely have to establish boundaries, let people know what they can and cannot do. Had I known that people were this invasive, I would have established boundaries a long time ago. Do not let people come in and literally thrash your life around. You know, that's one thing, okay? But also indulge in the things that you do love as much as you possibly can. That's the only way you can survive. Find your little piece of happiness. Gonna wrap this video up. Take care.